How can I help someone who doesn't want to be helped? You cannot on any level. If someone doesn't want to be helped, we cannot help them. But the question is actually deeper than that, because what it implies is that we somehow know what's best for others. And that's a very difficult situation for us to be in, because the truth is, we don't know what's best for others. We only know what's best for ourselves. We may think we know what's best for others. Especially as parents, as spouses, as friends, we can look at our children, we can look at our spouses, we look at our friends, and we think, I know what's best for them, and I'm going to help them. The problem is that implies that our world vision is the right world vision, and that ultimately the goal of life is the same for everyone. That if we're looking at how someone's living and we're saying they're not living right, I need to help them live right. What that means is that my perspective of what's right is right for everyone, which of course it isn't. How many of you here have ever had a situation in your life where you pray and you pray and you pray that something should happen, something you really want to happen, it should happen? It does happen. And then after it happens, whether it's a day later, a week later, or a year later, you think, oh my God, what was I praying for? Oh my God, I should have known better. This is because we don't know. We don't even know for ourselves, let alone for others. And so when we think that someone else needs our help, usually if you look really deeply at it, what you realize it is not the other person's problem, but our problem. Being around that person is difficult for us. And so what we think is that person needs to change, I will help them change. But really what it is I need to change. I need to stop having such a problem with the one in front of me. In psychology, one of the most basic and fundamental rules of psychology is that which bothers you the most about other people, 99 times out of 100 is because it's what you need to work on. So every time that you have an instinct that says, I need to help this person, if that person has not asked you for help, now it's different if someone comes to you and says, please help me. But remember that our question was, for those of you who have just come in, the question was, how do I help someone who doesn't want to be helped? Now, if they haven't asked me to be helped, if they don't want to be helped, they haven't asked to be helped. If someone isn't ready to take help, but I'm convinced they need it, the first question I need to ask myself is it really them who needs the help? Or is it just that how they are being is difficult for me to handle? And it's a lot easier for us to look out and say, this person needs to change, than to look in and say, I need to be more accepting. To look out and say, this person needs to do something different. Rather than to look in and say, I need to have more compassion. But in most cases, it's only our own inner acceptance and our own inner compassion that can actually help the situation. You cannot force help on someone. All you do is you get resentment. It pushes them farther away. So what we do is we look within and we say, how can I have acceptance of this situation? Now remember, acceptance doesn't mean I think it's great. It doesn't mean I love it. It doesn't mean I would choose it. It just means I recognize that I am not the power to change this situation. So how can I have acceptance? And 2, how can I have compassion? For the person who's acting and living in a way that I think is wrong, and for myself who is so troubled by it that I'm trying to figure out how to help them even though they don't want to be helped. And what happens is that acceptance and compassion creates space. And in that space, people are able to breathe. And when they're able to breathe, in many cases they're able to look at themselves and realize, I do need help. Whether it's something as obvious as alcoholism or a drug addiction, or something more subtle, whether it's ego, whether it's jealousy, whether it's how someone's living, neglecting their spiritual practice or their family or their health to just get ahead. Whatever it is that we see that seems wrong about how someone's living, we have to first create the space for them to breathe into the awareness that they may need to change.